So I've actually been enjoying this genre just a little bit more recently. I have come across some absolutely amazing MMOs and RPGs both, prompting me to go ahead and do a top list on what I think are the best mobile MMORPGs currently available in 2020. This is going to be based purely off of my personal experience, as I have played well over 100 different mobile games over the last year. And I know that there are no doubt going to be countless viewers that disagree with one, if not more, of the games that I include within the list. But again, this is a list of games that I enjoyed enough that I kind of want to share. Now, if you think there is an MMO that's missing, if you think that there is an MMO that should be included in the list or in a future list, then by all means, go ahead and drop a comment down in the comment section below, and I will go ahead, I will look into it, I will play it, and perhaps even upload a video on the channel. Because this list is based purely off of games that I have played, and again, I've only played about 100, maybe a little over 100. There is thousands, there are so many more games that I have yet to play. And trust me, I am working through as many of them as I possibly can. Now, with all of that out of the way, sit back, grab some popcorn, maybe a soda, maybe a beer, I don't know, grab a pizza, and let's just jump right into this. Rangers of Oblivion is a 3D MMORPG from GT Arcade. They are the team behind Era of Celestials and League of Angels, both terrible games, yet somehow Rangers of Oblivion defies the norm. Not only does Rangers of Oblivion provide some of the best 3D character customization that I have come across in a mobile title, but it's also got some fantastic combat, an interesting class system, a focus on story, and it actually seems closer to a game like Monster Hunter than a traditional open world MMO. Since you run instances, from what I could tell over the course of what I played, and honestly that is pretty different to the norm in terms of mobile MMOs. Graphically, this might be one of the better MMOs currently available. TORAM Online is an older anime MMORPG from Asobimo. The game is very story driven, and for an MMO, that is honestly unexpected. However, I guess I should preface this entire thing and mention that pretty much every Asobimo MMO has a very prominent emphasis on story. There's quite a lot of character customization, and the game provides the option to choose a weapon type as opposed to traditional classes. While the game definitely does show its age graphically, it is still pretty damn good looking for its time. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and just refer to Sword Art Online Integral Factor as Integral Factor so I don't waste 10 seconds every time I mention the name of the game. Integral Factor is an anime MMORPG from Bandai Namco. If you don't know who they are as a developer, then clearly you are not much of an RPG fan, are you? And more importantly, you are missing out on some incredible JRPGs. This is probably the closest thing that you'll get to a Sword Art MMO in all honesty, and is an incredibly accurate alternate retelling of the events of the anime. Not only does it look visually like you're actually existing within the world of the anime, but it also feels the same way. And don't get me started on how much fun the character creator is, which for an anime MMO is about as good as it gets. Much like TORAM Online, Avabel Online is an older anime MMORPG from Asobimo. Unlike TORAM though, Avabel doesn't really offer much, if any, real customization over your character. Avabel though provides quite a large selection of classes to choose between, and unlike TORAM, is also a little bit more autoplay friendly. I know some of you are very against autoplay, much like I am, and that's why honestly I do end up preferring TORAM a little bit over Avabel. And while there is definitely a story within Avabel, it's much less of a focal point than most other Asobimo titles that I've played. I'm not traditionally a fan of Chinese MMOs, neither for PC nor for mobile devices, yet Dawn of Isles, an MMORPG from NetEase Games, is perhaps one of the best mobile MMOs that I have ever played. Not only does the game have ridiculous character creation, but it combines both the MMO and survival genres together to create something truly remarkable. This game has quite an incredibly detailed story, a beautiful graphical style that I haven't really seen in other games, and honestly, I could probably go on and on about how good this game is. If you have yet to try it out, then you are definitely missing out, as you will not find another experience quite like it. It is rare to see an MMO released by a non-Asian company, but here we have Era of Legends, an MMO by 101XP Limited, a Russian publisher who also simultaneously publishes the Jade Dynasty mobile game. Era of Legends doesn't look anything like your traditional South Korean or Chinese MMOs, instead looking quite similar to World of Warcraft. Like, even the armor that the NPCs have equipped is reminiscent of WoW. And don't get me started on the classes or the races. It's obvious what they were going for when they were making this game, and I guess if you've ever been interested in a mobile World of Warcraft, then this might be the closest thing you'll get. Dragon Raja is probably the best looking mobile MMORPG that I have ever had the pleasure of playing. Not only does it have an incredibly extensive character creator, but it's also one of the few mobile MMOs that offers full flexibility when choosing your class. Yeah, like, I'm not kidding, there are no gender-locked races, there are no gender-locked classes. Dragon Raja is from the AURCUS Games team responsible for World of Kings, which admittedly is nowhere near as good of a game. Not only does Dragon Raja have some of the best graphics in the genre, but it also has some of the best combat, coupled with a futuristic fantasy setting and a deep story that provides you choices that alter how cutscenes play out. Like, no joke here, guys, I am honestly surprised a game like this actually exists on mobile devices. ALCHEMIA's story is probably my favorite Asobimo MMORPG. Not only does it have my favorite graphical style out of any of their games, but much like their previous titles, it is also absolutely packed with story. The character creator is pretty extensive in terms of an anime MMO, and you're given the option of not only creating your own character, but your companion as well. I do recall Mrs. Styx actually having a little too much fun with this. Interestingly though, I haven't really talked much about combat in any of these games because they're all either traditional tab target or they're free aim action. But ALCHEMIA's story is actually a turn-based combat MMO with battles actually taking place in a separate loading screen. This is incredibly rare for an MMO on any platform to do, and I don't know, to me it kind of makes it feel much more like a JRPG than an MMORPG, but honestly that is not unwelcome. IRUNA Online is yet another anime MMO from Asobimo. Yeah, I'm a fan of Asobimo MMOs, but that's because despite South Korea developing better looking games, they're all more or less copy-pasted, soulless clones of one another. IRUNA Online is a much older MMO, and while it does show its age just a little bit, it also provides more customization over your character and your class than the majority of Asobimo's other titles and South Korean MMOs altogether. I will admit though, it does look and feel a little bit like an old PS1 game, but PS1 games are still, to date, some of my favorite games ever. Like Chrono Trigger, the old Final Fantasy games, the old Tales of games, Legend of Dragoon, the old like, there are so many excellent games on the PS1. Now, there doesn't seem to be nearly as much story as some of their other titles, and honestly, the game has a lot less hand-holding than their more recent games as well, but the difficulty just made the game that much more fun, as it required you invest time into trying to actually learn it. Black Desert Mobile is perhaps one of the most popular MMORPGs on mobile devices, with over 250,000 ratings of 4-star or above on the Google Play Store alone. Obviously, the game is from Pearl Abyss, the very same people behind Black Desert for PC, and while Black Desert Mobile definitely captures some of what made Black Desert so popular, its impressive combat system, its unparalleled character customization, it feels more or less like any other mobile MMO. Graphically, you know, like, you cannot deny that the game is gorgeous, but instead of being a large mobile sandbox world with a focus on grinding like its parent game, it instead plays out much like any other traditional mobile MMO. So while it doesn't really do anything in terms of standing out from the genre of already established games, it's still a solid title for what it is. SOULWORKER 0 is a mobile iteration of the hub-based anime MMO SOULWORKER Online from Aprogen Games. I believe this is their very first and quite possibly their only title. Much like its parent game on the PC, instead of having a large open world filled with content to partake of and areas to explore, instead you exist within a small hub and you take missions, run instances, and progress the story along, which is the only way of actually unlocking new content. And while the graphics are definitely pretty good for a mobile title and the combat tries its best to replicate the PC experience, it's still a far cry from how beautiful SOULWORKER played and looked. Nevertheless, that is probably one of the better games of its kind, honestly. Aura Kingdom 2 is actually a newly released anime MMORPG from X-Legend Entertainment, the team behind, well, this is pretty much the only globally released mobile game from them. While mobile games are traditionally nowhere near as good looking as their PC predecessors, Aura Kingdom 2 actually looks significantly better than its PC iteration. Both the world itself and the character creation especially look absolutely incredible considering the game this was based on. The only issue I found with the game was that it was very heavily autoplay, which is, you know, like a very commonly reoccurring theme with mobile MMOs. Honestly, if you were or if you are a fan of Aura Kingdom, then I can assure you this is definitely an improvement overall. AURCUS Online is the final MMO in this list from Asobimo, don't worry. Unlike several of their other titles though, AURCUS is not an anime-themed game, instead taking more of an older lineage-styled fantasy route. I know that visually Asobimo games for the most part aren't really much to look at, I do, but some of the most popular PC MMOs, RuneScape and World of Warcraft, look nowhere near as good as other games like Final Fantasy XIV or Guild Wars 2, yet still retain such a large population nevertheless. This is because, while yes, they are graphically inferior, they're such good games that they're worth investing time into regardless of how they look. And the fact that Asobimo titles are still so popular should be a testament to that. If you're a fan of Perfect World, then you're going to love Perfect World Mobile. It is a brand new MMORPG from Perfect World Games, the team behind, well, Perfect World Mobile and Dragonborn Knight, which I have actually never heard of. But I am a Perfect World International vet, and I spent over 2 years playing on the Sanctuary server, and let me tell you, this game is gorgeous. While Perfect World International is known to have one of the best creators in the MMO scene, Perfect World Mobile does its best to replicate that by providing a solid tool with which to customize your character. And while the PC iteration of the game is one of the largest games that I have ever played in terms of actual world size, the mobile port condenses that into a much smaller and much easier to navigate experience. While at its core it doesn't really do much to innovate the mobile MMO genre, it's one of the best mobile recreations of a PC title that I have probably seen. Even more faithful than the Black Desert, Terra, Blade and Soul, or Ion mobile titles. Sky Children of Light is arguably one of the best mobile MMORPGs on the device. It's developed and published by the very same dev team that brought you Journey and has gone down as being one of the highest rated MMOs currently available. I can't really express verbally how much of an amazing experience this game is, with its unparalleled gorgeous graphical style, its depth, its story, the sheer amount of exploration and content to get through. This is a marvel to play through, and if you haven't played it, you're doing the genre a disservice, as you probably will not find a better game like this out there. Granted, if you're a fan of combat, this actually might turn you off a little bit, as it is a little lacking in terms of finding enemies to actually do battle with. And there we have it, 15 mobile MMORPGs that I totally think you guys should try out with all of that current spare time that you no doubt have. But you know what, that's just my opinion, my impressions of the genre right now. What do you guys think? Are there any MMORPGs in this list that you play? Are there any MMORPGs that you guys think I missed? Let me know down in the comments below and let's talk about it. Anyway guys, that is it for me. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all next time. Peace. Someday soon, I'm gonna make it.